yeah, I decided that I was going to kill myself in the shower one day and heard a audible voice ask me, like, what if you prayed first? And I did. I demanded intervention. And then all of a sudden I was surrounded by light beings all around me. That kind of Care Bears stared their light to me, and that filled me with light. And then like one light being, another light being, another light being, another light being, another, and then just like a whole circle of bodies, but light. And I felt all the pain go away. All the pain, emotionally, physically, all of it went away. And I was in a state of ecstasy. It was just like euphoric.
Hello, my dear friends. I'm Donald Lee, and this is Expressing and Revealing Your Truth with Donald Lee. It's a podcast in which I help you understand more about the truth about who you really are, and how you can express and reveal that truth in the world. To do that, I interview people who have had transformational spiritual experiences, the type of experience that many of us wish we had but never do. Yet by learning from my guests' experiences and the wisdom they've gained from those experiences, all of us can glimpse a bigger vision of who we really are and how we can live our lives more fully, more peacefully, more lovingly. Be sure to download my free mini ebook containing 5 of the 50 parables from my popular book, The Band Director's Lessons About Life. These little parables are short, easy to read, inspiring, and also help you to learn more about who you really are. There is a link in the show notes below to get your free ebook. In this episode, I interview Jessalynn Ross. She grew up in an extremely dysfunctional family, full of addictions, and she naturally adopted this as a normal lifestyle. Not surprisingly, her life quickly went downhill through her teen years and her 20s. But with the help of a few transformational spiritual experiences, she was finally able to turn her life around. I'm sure you will be as amazed and inspired as I was to hear Jessalynn's story of tragedy and triumph. Hello, my dear friends. We're here today with the amazing and beautiful Jessalynn Ross. Now, I met Jessalynn at the Unity Church in Gainesville, Florida, where I attended for most of the winter, this past winter, as I was in Florida and not too far from Gainesville. And Jessalynn has an amazing story of spiritual awakening and unfoldment. So I'm going to just let her tell her story. Welcome, Jessalynn.
Thank you so much, Donald. I appreciate the platform and the space to share my experience and hope. Backstory first. I was born in 1980 into a family that was just really rife with trauma and addiction, use, violence, jails, the whole 9 yards. I witnessed it, and then I ended up partaking in it myself. So I went down, even though there were like these little messages, I tried to get sober when I was 16, didn't really work out. And then I would I got sober again, maybe in my early 19 years old, but didn't really work out. And life just kept unfolding in a really unhealthy direction until I was addicted to drugs and alcohol, and I was involved in sex working. There's no shame there, just not where I want to be, personally. And, failed relationships, just feeling.
If I could just jump in for a moment, that it's, when we're in our teenage years, we don't have the kind of self-control that's necessary to break addictions. And that's why addictions that start when we're young, in our teenage years, are so often just devastating for people's whole lives,
Right.
right? Our prefrontal cortex, that part of the brain that's involved with judgment and clear thinking and thinking through consequences of actions and moral choices, all that kind of stuff. The prefrontal cortex doesn't completely develop until we're about 25 years old.
Right. And
And
I
so trying to make wise choices when you're 12, 14, 16, all of us remember the stupid things we did at that age, right? And so this is exactly why we have, drink a minimum age for drinking and try to keep drugs and cigarettes out of the hands of children, that kind of stuff. And of course, none of it really works
right.
unless that is enforced within the family.
Right.
I mean, the government can't do that. It has to be the family that makes that happen, that sort of protects children um, from the biggest and most dramatic temptations of life, and gives children some preparation to face those temptations. Otherwise, and this is, I think, part of the reason why all over the world, and particularly in your country and mine, that so many people have succumbed to alcoholism and drug addiction and gambling addictions and pornography addiction, all these kind of things, because the people behind this know, and they intentionally target children and teenagers. It's tragic.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, my little soapbox thing. So so carry on. You tried quitting alcohol. I've quit alcohol a couple times too. A couple times in my 20s, and then again, in my 60s, I finally gradually cut back, and it's to the point where I almost never drink anymore. And the odd time I have a glass of wine or two, I regret it. So
Mhm.
yeah, and here I'm 68 now, and it's still hard to exercise that self-control for something that has become habitual in your life. It's difficult. And, for those who have some Christian background, that's exactly part of the reason why Jesus put into his prayer, Lord, lead us not into temptation, right? Don't tempt us beyond our ability to handle that temptation. So anyway, okay,
Yeah,
back to your
you make
story. You're
really good
you're in
points.
you're in your 20s. Things are not looking good.
You make really good points, and because it in my family, there it was encouraged. Not only was it, like, just what I saw, but from a young I mean, I started smoking cannabis with my mom when I was 11, and I was drinking at age 8 because that's what was around me, and it was I mean, one of the stories that I grew up with that was so funny to the adults around me to tell was when I was 2 and I grabbed the bottle of Jack Daniels off of the table during a party, and nobody noticed that I was drinking it until there was a drunk toddler walking around, and it was not like, if that happened today at a party, people would probably call the police or an ambulance or something. But
Yeah.
then it
And
was just
depends
funny.
on the people. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying, that's the environment that I was in. It was just so pervasive that the way we dealt with the pain that we were feeling inside was to dissociate through alcohol. And what I'll say about alcohol is that it is called a spirit for a reason, because going into blackout where the person is not present, there is something running the body, and that something wants to, in my experience and in my perspective, um wants to experience this world through the body, and will just do random crazy things that are out of alignment for the actual person, right? That or soul that is inhabiting the body. And it is for me it felt very much like possession. Um
Yes.
and so I really look at it from a spiritual lens. I went through a long journey with it where I've abstained completely, um, out of fear, and, um, I was completely sober for 7 years, and I went through a spiritual program of recovery, and I would say that I was absolutely obsessed with drinking, and in about 2010, I was 30, and I had, my children were my children were 2 and 4. I was in the throes of, psychosis from my second birth, and I knew I had to quit. Like, I had to quit drinking. I couldn't, like, it was so time. And I just remember the day where I didn't wanna drink, and I knew I was going to. Like, the obsession was the compulsion to quiet. I had no other coping skills to calm the energetic system that just was in so much pain that it just wanted to crawl out of my system, out of my body. And I didn't wanna do it. I really wanted to believe what the program was teaching me, um, which was that if I surrendered to a higher power, that could be whatever higher power. For me, at this point, I was in, like, recovery from Catholicism. So, for me, God, at this point, was a big, biker in the sky named Joe, and he smoked cigarettes, and he rode a hog, and he cussed and had long gray beautiful hair like yours, and we would drink coffee in the morning together, me and Joe. And that was my higher power. That was like where I felt safe. And so I went out on the balcony and I said, like, and I've had a few moments in my life like this, which you'll hear, but I had this moment where I went out and I hit my knees, and I was just like, take this obsession, like, God, take this obsession from me. I do not want to do this anymore. Take it away. And like that, the obsession lifted, and I haven't had it since. Thank the universe. Thank the universe, because it's an awful place to be. Uh,
Yeah,
and
very good.
yeah, and now it's been so long now. 16 years. And I've come into a place now with alcohol where I realize, I don't abstain anymore out of a fear that I'm gonna, like, lose control, because now I have coping skills and I'm healthy. Um, so there are a couple of times a year, if there's like a special holiday drink, or something, I'll have a taste of it or whatever. Because I don't drink, not out of fear anymore. I don't drink because it's just, I don't, I don't want to be that person. I know jail's death institution. It's for real. Loneliness, just loneliness. Jails and institutions and death are I think the least of it. The emotional pain that addiction cost me was just awful. So, yeah, that's what I'll say about alcohol. And I got into some other drugs, but alcohol was, kind of the constant. I've been on my own since I was 14, just running the streets. I moved out really early. Um, and then And so, yeah, so I've been on my own for that long, which is also part of why I got into the things that I got into, um, and in an attempt to try to provide for myself. Um, and it just was getting worse and worse. And I went in, and then I had my children, and the first one put me in postpartum depression. And that was when the stints with the psych wards started. And a lot
The
of
when what started, sorry?
the psych
Can you say
wards.
say that again?
Yeah, the
Oh,
stints.
the psych ward.
Yeah, going in the psych wards, because a lot, from what I understand, the way postpartum shows up for other women, some women, is they don't want to be around the baby because there's, I don't know, they don't want to take care of it. It's something like that. For me, I thought something was going to happen. I had this obsession that something in my brain was going to snap and I was going to hurt someone. I don't know. It was crazy. It was really wild. And so I started to have this big fear that like I was going to hurt people, and I started to see images of me like hurting people. And so I was so afraid that I was going to lose touch with the part of myself that knew not to do that, that I checked myself in the psych ward, because the last thing I want to ever do is hurt someone, right? And the anxiety and the paranoia that, like, I don't know, I felt like I had a demon in me, right? Like I just was like, I am darkness, and there's a part of me that's so dark that I can't be trusted. And I was just so afraid that I was going to lose touch with reality of, you know. And then when I had my second son, I went full-blown psychosis, and I started seeing demons, and I started hearing things, and I mean, l- life, like what is reality? Like I didn't know if someone in front of me was really there, or if I was creating them, or if I saw this demon, are they really there? Like I saw spirits and demons the same way that I see you. And I was in the mainstream medical system at the time. And so they had me on 9 different antipsychotics. I was doing, I mean, it
That's
was,
probably why you were seeing demons.
I know,
That's
I
enough
know.
to make anybody see demons.
I know, right? I know. Well, what ended up happening, so I went through a lot. We'll just say that. Like, I went through a lot with that system. I have we could do 6 interviews, you know what I mean, and talk about different things. My life has been really wild, and I love it, right? It's so for me. And so it's been a real adventure. And so at some point, I was considered what did they call it? Like a medical failure or something like that. Because none of their drugs was doing anything, and in fact, it was making it worse. And so they
Very
wanted to.
common occurrence with psychotic drugs.
Right, yeah, yeah. And so then they wanted to do electric shock therapy. And
Oh, joy.
right, and I was like, "No." Like, "No." It was such a clear, like, "No, no, no, we are not doing that." And I started to feel pulled in the direction of, some people call it alternative medicine, I call it original medicine. And I was just called into this area, little glimmers of like, hey, look here. And I found an article that was, and I wish I could remember the doctor's name, but there was a doctor from a psychiatrist from Africa who came to the United States to check out how we dealt with mental illness or spiritual maladies. And he went around and he was appalled. He was appalled at what we were doing to people here, because, and then he went back and he wrote this whole thing about how in his village, people like me were supported and seen as the new seers, or the new, that either there was something attached that needed to be taken, or there was something trying to attach with the intention of helping and there was resistance. But either way, that it was a spiritual situation and not mental illness. And they had 100% success rate over there treating it that way. They have a village and people come to and they stay while they work through their stuff, and then they can leave or they can stay and help the new people, right? And I read that and my spirit lit up, and I said, that's what's going on here. That's why none of their drugs are helping. Nothing's wrong with me. Something is coming alive. Like, I feel like bringing my children's energy into my body really activated something within me. And I was resisting it. And there was a lot of density in my field from where I came from. And so it just blew my life open and was crazy wild. And I do not recommend this, right? Like, warning, I do not recommend this. Do not do this. I did this. It was awful. I don't recommend this. Do not do this. But I came off.
Kids, don't try this at
Kids,
home.
don't
Yeah.
try this at home. For real, for real. I came off all 9 antipsychotics and anti-anxieties and antidepressants at once. And I almost died. Like, it was not good. Oh yeah, going back. Okay, because this is part of the transition. I need to mention that I had a near-death experience with the second birth of my child. I ended up hemorrhaging. It was a home birth. It was a fluke. My midwife was amazing. As a matter of fact, Karen Kennedy, thank you so much. I am still alive because of her. And she's probably not practicing anymore. This was so long ago. But something happened in my body. It didn't do what was supposed to, according to like whatever supposed to happen. And I hemorrhaged, and I remember coming out of my body and looking at like the paramedics coming and getting me, and just remember feeling no attachment at all. It really was like watching bugs move, just like, oh, look, they're moving that body. And I knew it was my body, but there was no attachment to it. And then I'd be back in it. And I'd be being wrapped up in the cocoon so they could carry me down the stairs. And then I'd be out of it. And then I'd be in it. And it was really interesting. And then I remember coming to, like really coming to, and them telling me, wow, that was close. That was a close one. That was a close one. We almost lost you there, but we've got you figured out. Everything is fine, and I had to have reconstructive surgery because he tore out the plumbing, right? So, I had to have reconstructive surgery right after giving birth, which all led to psychosis, right? It was just and then 3 days after the surgery, I was put in the psych ward again, and they refused to give me anything for pain. They wouldn't let me sit on anything soft. I was tortured in a psych ward. I'm just going to say it. I was tortured in a psych ward. If I could sue, I absolutely would. Thank God there was one nurse that had mercy on me. The psych ward system is disgusting. Again, we could do another interview. Anyway, so I had gone through all of this stuff, and I had eventually came out of the psychosis as I did my spiritual work, as I came in alignment with, understanding really like the world around me as far as energetics and my role in it, and my own density and my own frequency and things like that. And I was really trying. I was, working on loving myself and recognizing unhealthy partnerships, and I was really trying. And then things came to a crescendo in 2017 when, within a 6-month period, I had gotten married to someone I should have never gotten married. Well, no, I'm not going to say that. I'm so glad that I got married to this person because I learned exactly what I needed, and I'm so grateful for them. I have no ill will towards them at all. Our relationship didn't work out, but I know I got what I needed, and I wish him nothing but the best. However, in hindsight, not the best decision to marry this man, okay? So I got married. I moved from Florida, up to Maryland, and we got married, and then I got diagnosed with Lyme disease. I had been sick my whole life, and we just couldn't figure out what was going on. Finally, we found out that I had been born with Lyme disease. Um, and so
Because your mother had Lyme disease, I guess. Is that right?
I believe my father also had Lyme disease. My father killed himself when I was 10. So, yeah, childhood was really rough. It was really, really hard. It was really full of nightmares, you know? And, um, and so here in 2017, I had started treatment for Lyme, which is awful. So I was sick from that. And then I needed an emergency hysterectomy because my uterus had started to fall out. And then and I was also living in mold, and all of that together put me in organ failure. And then because, I don't know, I wasn't able to like be such a good wife while going through all of that, my
Surprise, surprise.
surprise, surprise, my marriage came to an end. And my mom killed herself, and my best friend killed herself. And then I was homeless with my 2 boys. And that was within 6 months. So I I was just in a space where after trying so hard and then having just more, I just really started to I believed that it was always going to be that way, and there was nothing I could do to change it. It was just the force of nature in my life, that even if I was really in victim mode, you know, although I wouldn't have heard it back then. Um but I was just like, you know, this is some punishment, or you know, I shouldn't have to live like this, or all of the things. And also, I was like, I am an awful mother. Like, I'm just a batshit crazy mom. Excuse my language. But I just felt for my kids. And then the story that I had in my mind was the best thing I could do for them was to take myself out. And so I decided that I was going to kill myself in the shower one day.
Just a little break from the program to mention a couple of things. Firstly, if you're enjoying this podcast, please like and subscribe. It really helps the algorithm to find more people who would enjoy these interviews. Also, if you're interested in spiritual growth, you might be interested in my series of spiritual books. As a spiritual author and a former band director, I use my little "the band director" trademark in these books because I use music as a metaphor for life, and the journey of becoming a musician as a metaphor for our spiritual journey. There are 3 books in the series. The Band Director's Lessons About Life is a book of modern-day parables inspired by events from my teaching career. When you're working with kids, little things naturally come up that we sometimes call teachable moments. Little events when you realize there's a bigger lesson happening right now than the alternate F-sharp fingering on the clarinet that I was trying to teach. I started writing some of these little stories down and turning them into modern-day parables. So, the Band Director's Lessons About Life has 50 little parables. It's a bit like a Chicken Soup for the Soul book. Each parable is about 3 pages long. Each begins with a story that happened in school, and then there's a reflection section that draws a spiritual lesson out of the events of the story. That is, it explains the spiritual metaphor. The Band Director's Lessons About Life is easy to read, makes a great gift, and expresses many universal spiritual principles in an easy-to-understand way. If you want to go deeper in your spiritual growth, I've also published a study guide to accompany the Book of Parables. It turns the Band Director's Lessons About Life into a year-long course in spiritual development. You will spend a week on each of the 50 parables. There is a deeper teaching about the meaning of each parable. reflection and discussion questions, especially helpful if you would like to use the study guide in a group setting, and a different meditation for each lesson. The third book in the series is a little book titled The Band Director's Pocket Guide to Spiritual Growth. This little book explains a simple 3-step process to putting your spiritual growth into high gear. You can learn more about all of these 3 books and my other books at my website, www.cominghomespirit.com. Because, after all of us are on a spiritual journey back home to God. So that's cominghomespirit.com. You can also go directly to my Shopify page at cominghomespirit.myshopify.com, where you can purchase my books directly from me. I can deliver ebooks and audiobooks anywhere in the world, but at the moment I can only ship paperback books within the continental United States. So if you live in other countries, you will need to purchase my books through Amazon in your own country. If you're enjoying this podcast, I really think you'll enjoy my Band Director series of books as well. Now, back to the program.
Yeah, I decided that I was going to kill myself in the shower one day, right before I was about to cut my wrists. I heard an audible voice ask me, like, what if you prayed first? And at that point, I was so furious at the suggestion because I had been praying. I was just so furious that, like, in that moment, I felt like I was talking to God. I'm like, who else would I be hearing right now, right? So I was just like, oh, you dare tell me to pray? And I got angry and I ended up just demanding an intervention. I was like, your prayer can, like take a flying leap off of a short cliff, because that don't work. And so I demanded, and I did. I demanded intervention, and then all of a sudden I was surrounded by light beings all around me that kind of Care Bear stared their light to me, and that filled me with light
You're kind of pointing
from
to
their
your heart
heart space.
from their heart chakra.
Yeah.
This visible light and love came out of their heart chakras.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I was yelling at God, and I was like, I demand a divine intervention. If I have anything to do here, you better step in right now. Like, I'm so serious. I'm taking myself out. And then I was like, taken into this like black space and this really bright light on me. The only thing I can equate it to is like a theater, like black box theater, where the light is just on the performer. And I was still naked as a jaybird, And then, like, one light being, another light being, another light being, another light being, another, and then just like a whole circle of bodies, but light. And then from their heart chakra space, they Care Bear stared this like beam of light to me. And I felt the light filling my body, and I felt all the pain go away. All the pain, emotionally, physically, all of it went away. And I was in a state of ecstasy. It was just like euphoric. I was like, they had me floating up, and I was just feeling, I was just in it. I don't know how to describe it other than there was nothing I could focus on other than this like pure love and light in my body. It was all there was. And then I became I became aware somehow that there was movement outside of me. And when like it took a lot of work. It's funny because yeah, I don't know how much time anything took, but it felt like it took a tremendous amount of effort to like shift my awareness from the inside reality to like what was going on outside of me. And when I did, there was like there was just this like swooshing and cutting like all above me and around me and all sides of me. And I remember feeling like really confused and then just getting this sense that like cords were being cut, like things are being cut away that are no longer, you got to let this stuff go. Like this stuff has to go immediately. Right. And
Wow.
so it was just this cutting with this gigantic, like 7 foot long sword. I just astronomically huge. And
Yeah.
there was no pain.
A huge lightsaber.
It was like a sword. It was
Okay.
a silver or some, I don't feel like it was silver, but it looked like silver metal. And it was super shiny and it had the handle of it, and there was no, I couldn't see any hand holding it, or I couldn't see who was holding it. It was just this gigantic sword, and it was beautiful. And there was a stone in the center, like above where you would hold. There was like this stone in it, and the metal came out like that, and then the stone was there, and then the metal came up, and then it went into the gigantic sword. And so that sword was just cutting all around me, and I just felt amazing. Gosh, no drug. I've done lots of drugs. I'm telling you, there's no drug that does that. And and then it was,
These are light beings removing entities from your energy body, from your aura, right?
yeah, and like and attachments to people, places, things, beliefs, timelines that were done, that were ready to be just done with, right? They were too
Right,
heavy.
right.
And then the light places me back down, and then boom, I'm back in my body and I'm all better. Like, it was the weirdest thing I've ever experienced to date, because I went from one moment, I mean, desperately cry, like ready to vomit. I'm crying so hard. I don't want to die. I just didn't know how to live, you know? And to like no pain, totally fine. Could even giggle. Just like what? And I was like, all right. Uh I had no idea what to do. I was like, I don't know. I guess I'll just get up and go live my life. I didn't know. So I just got up, and that is
I guess I might as well rinse the cream rinse out of my hair and
right?
dry it off, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like, all right, I'll just mosey on with my life. And that was the beginning of so much just transformation. Um, it's really hard to sum
I
up.
I can I can see that absolutely being an incredibly transformational experience. If I could jump in and kind of comment some of the things that you've said and that you've experienced, it strikes a chord of some understanding with me. And not that I claim to understand this stuff very well, but what you went through as a child and a teenager and drinking, smoking dope, all that kind of stuff, when we do these kind of things, we don't get kind of possessed by some kind of demon or evil spirit just like that. It's not one act and suddenly we're, oh, traditionally, sold my soul to the devil. And now, no, it's not one act. It's a series of things. And what happens is there are a whole range of what we sometimes call non-physical or negative non-physical entities. They don't have bodies of their own. And the only way that they can kind of exist in materiality is to latch on to the body of somebody who is material and kind of gradually take over. And the more you drink and get drunk and then get high and do it, the more you do that, the more you open yourself up to this attachment of negative non-physical entities. And so over a period of many decades, and you've been doing all this stuff, like then yeah, I can see that you would eventually have come to the point where they had taken over you, where you actually could well have been literally possessed by some kind of a demonic entity. And then what these energy beings or angels or whatever you want to call them were doing in that experience in the shower, that is that they were cleansing your energy body. They were removing these from you, cutting away all of these things.
So one of the tools that I picked up along my second part of my life, right, has been that
Right.
I'm a theta practitioner, a theta hypnosis practitioner.
Sorry, a what kind of practitioner?
Theta,
Theta. Okay.
theta, yep, theta hypnosis. And so I deal with the theta brainwave. And
Brainwave state,
when we're
right.
in the theta brainwave, we are sponges and we will just absorb whatever programming it is that we are hearing. And there are certain things that put us into that brainwave. And it's very important to be mindful of the environment that you're in while in that brainwave. So even some seemingly benign things like falling asleep with the television on, that will
Right.
also create attachments and programming because you're in the theta brainwave, and whatever programming is playing in the background, whether it's lack or insecurity or fear, your system is, or our systems, right, not like but our systems will absorb that and then play out in our outer reality, right? And so in a theta session, there's a part where we do digging, where we talk about, usually a person has a reason for coming. They want something and they're not able to attain it. And they want to know what the block is and how to get around it. And so through some digging, we find where in their life this core belief kind of started. And I can put them into hypnosis and we can pull, because I can get them into the theta brainwave. Uh, then we can pull that program out while they're in that brainwave and download God's concept of whatever it is that we've decided beforehand, right? Not my concept
Good.
of it,
Good.
but God's concept of it. And
Right.
and whatever God they believe in. Again, not even my God, right? It's like whatever it's their reality, whatever is in their reality. And then we can do all kinds of fun stuff. But the first thing I do is cleanse someone's energy field. Now, I am a seer, I'm a hearer, and I'm a feeler. Okay, those are my clairs. And
Right.
while I'm in session and I'm doing the work, because my job in theta, I'm not a healer. People can only heal themselves, right? I can facilitate the space. I can witness the healing and the way things happen in this reality is that they are anchored into physical reality by being witnessed, right? Quantum physics shows this. So my job in a theta session is to get someone into that brainwave so that they're connected with that God part. It's also known as the God space. It's where we go when we meditate. It's where we go when we're falling asleep. It's where we go when we're drunk, right? Our brain
Yeah.
opens and we get in that theta brainwave. So if you're in a bar, going back to that, and I mean, the things that we're absorbing, but don't mistake that you can be walking through a Marshall's or a flea market or a whatever, touch an object, and there could be something on it. There are other entities like you're talking about, as there are people, okay? Because
Right.
of all kinds of reasons why they're still Earthside. But like you said, they don't have their own energy source. And so there are three types of attachments that we deal with in theta. One is a wayward, which is basically just an innocent soul that just, oh, there's a battery. I'm just gonna go hook up to this battery. No harm
Right.
intended, but it still causes harm because it leaches the person's energy, and also that spirit's energy starts to infect, and that spirit's likes and desires will start to affect that person's life, right? And so we'll pull those. And then the other form of attachment is, well, there's waywards, and then there's fallens, which are the entities that are trying to do some stuff. They're earth-side beings that they're intentionally staying to hurt other beings. And then there's the demonic or the cosmic attachments. People will have cosmic attachments because, again, it's not about what we think is real. It's what does that person believe is real for their reality. So if someone believes that an alien can inhabit their body or take an organ or implant a device, then that is real for that person, and that person needs to be treated as such is true, right? And so
Right.
by going into the theta realm and being really specific with that person, we can pull those spirits and entities out and then connect them with the highest source of love and stuff like that. Anyway, I digress. I just wanted to say that it's not just in bars, that we need to be
Right.
mindful.
Right. Absolutely. Well, thank you for that explanation. Now that was news to me. So I very much appreciate that.
So, okay.
And so you came out of the shower a transformed person. And from there, tell us about how you've transformed your life and what you've created for your life now.
Yeah, so from that day on, I have continued to hear the voice. It is a collection. It is a we. It is a non-physical we, and it is persistent and loving and kind. And when it didn't go away after that experience, I thought, well, surely I've snapped and now I'm schizophrenic.
It's like that. I know I'm schizophrenic,
I
right? It's like the old joke. I used to be schizophrenic, but now we're okay.
Right, now we're okay. Now we're all okay. And oh my gosh, that's really poignant. And so I was afraid. I was like, I'm so fragile right now because of the trauma I had just experienced. So I knew I was a target. I could be a target for negative energy.
Right.
And so I didn't trust it. I was really afraid at first, but it was just guiding me towards love. Anytime it talked to me, I felt better. And there was just this one day where I was like, well, what would happen if I started to like follow these little suggestions? And it was like totally.
Oh, like if after you got to go through like 4 decades of kind of ignoring that voice within, and then having your life get worse and worse and worse, and then finally, oh, these little nudges that come from God. What if I did what they were suggesting? I wonder how that would turn out, right?
Who
You
would
think,
have thunk?
ah,
Who would
okay,
have? Yeah, I know, right? And it was little nudges like, at first, because I was like, oh, I don't know. But it was like, well, the message, because it was like real talking communication. And it's in my mind. It's not an outside thing. And I would just be like, oh, I don't know. Do I want to do that? Like, and Spirit would say, it's inconsequential. If you do it or don't do it is not going to really matter. But what happens if you do it? And every time I did it, there was a positive outcome. It'd be like, bring that book, talk to that person, smile at that person, tell this person you're part of your story. And just beautiful things started to happen in my life, which built this trust. So I started to listen more. And one thing led to another. It's really wild. Okay. I'm going to go through it quickly because it's a long story. But what ended up
hey,
happening was I had begun receiving the first guidance that they gave me was on trusting the nudges, to listen to the whisper of spirit before the 2x4 knocks your socks off. That was the first lesson. It's like, you're going to learn one way or another,
that's
sister.
good. Because all throughout most of my life, I've been praying to God, look, I'm not getting your emails. I'm a thick-headed, linear thinking male. You gotta make it really clear to me. Hit me upside the head with a 2x4 or something and throw my life, everything. Okay, all these people like, how do you listen to God? Right? I go and I pray and I think, God, help me with this, help me with that, like guide me, do what you want, what do you want me to do with my life? And nothing, right? And so there's been in my first book, actually, in my book of parables, I wrote a little bit about how, okay, I think I want to go apply for jobs all over the place. Don't get any of them. Nothing works out. I'm unemployed, and then all of a sudden, like all these doors seem to close, right? Like, okay, like what now? And all of a sudden a door opens up. You think, like I could never have orchestrated that.
Right.
Having dinner in a restaurant and a couple old friends come in and say, hey,
Yes.
for ages doing it. I said, well, actually, I'm looking for a job. And they said, oh, right. And then they said, the school where our kids went to, so, oh, they're looking for a band director. Like I've been scouring the teaching job. Like, anyway,
It's
turns out, yeah.
amazing.
So a few weeks later, I was working there, beginning of September. That's where I was working. Anyway, yeah, it's all
Yeah.
kinds of things. But I'm trying to get better at 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 what we call listening to God. I think I'm getting a little bit better. But there's a funny story. Last night, the people around here haven't seen it, but I turned the camera around just before we hit record, and I showed Jessalynn that all the snow outside. Now the snow has started again. So once again, we're in the middle of a snowstorm. Here it's April 24th, 2026.
That's crazy.
And you think, where's spring? All the people around here in Alberta are thinking, I hate this weather. I hate this weather. We want spring, enough snow already. And it's snowing again. And it was snowing yesterday. And it was cold. And I'm living in my trailer. And last night, I had this little nudge. You're talking about little nudge. Listen to the little nudges, right? So the heater in my trailer, actually, I have two heaters, right? I have the main one is a propane heater,
Right.
but the fan is really noisy, sometimes wakes me up at night, and it's kind of annoying. And I also have a little electric space heater thing. Well, then yesterday evening, I had this little nudge, change the propane tank because it might run out during the night. Well, it might, but the electric heater will be okay, right? So about 5 o'clock in the morning, I wake up and it's cold, and the main heater's not going because otherwise I'd hear the fan. So, oh heck, ran out of propane. But I don't even hear the little fan from the electric heater. What's going on? Well, I've got a little issue with the plug-in in my trailer. I don't know what it is, but it's one of those GF ground fault interrupter like you have outdoors, where if something happens, it's like a fuse or a
Yeah.
circuit breaker,
Yeah.
right? If for some reason there's too much electricity flow, it'll trip and it'll shut off.
Yeah.
So from time to time, I have to go and reset the reset button on the GFI plug-in. So I crawled out of bed and I went over. It's cold. I don't want to come out of the cover because it's cold. And so anyway, so I reset it and then I go back into bed and okay, well, it'll warm up in a minute. So I'm laying there trying to go back to sleep. It trips out again. So I go down and reset it again. Okay, so okay, your angels or whoever it was gave you this nudge last night. Change the propane tank because it might run out. So like I could have
Yes.
avoided all that
Yeah.
and slept peacefully
Yep.
if I changed the propane bottle last night
Right.
as I was nudged, right? So I reckon. So at 5 o'clock in the morning, I realized, angels, yeah, you told me about this, and I ignored you, didn't I?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's so often we don't know. It's those little nudges that come. Yeah, that's somehow the divine God, or through whatever angels, guides, whoever all these
Yeah.
angelic beings are, right? We have all kinds of names for them, and I don't think anybody really understands it very well.
Right.
But yeah, that's God giving you a nudge. And the more you ignore it, like I did last night, it's like our conscience. The more you ignore it, the quieter that voice becomes, and it becomes harder and harder to hear.
Yes.
And the more you listen to it, so, oh, okay, before I go to bed, even though I don't want to stand out there in the cold and change the propane bottle, I'll be thankful I did it later,
Yes.
right? So listen to those little nudges, do what the little nudges tell you to do, and you'll start to hear them a little bit more strongly, a little bit more strongly, a little bit more regularly. Yeah, that's how we develop that. So sorry about my long
No. No,
interruption
that's
of your story, but
100%. Yeah, that's 100% it, and that's totally what happened. But the more that I listened, the more magic was happening. And it led me that well, actually things got worse for a little bit while I was working on they were teaching me so it came in real focused steps, and I didn't know any of the picture that was to come while I was in the step, okay? So the first thing that
right.
they were talking to me about was how, it's not just that my thoughts create my reality. Yes. And the mind could be doing one thing, the body can be doing something totally different. And so it is not just the mind, it is also what memories is the body, what vibration is the body anchoring in, what story is the body telling. And they were showing me the difference between feeling a true thought that was in alignment for me and choosing a thought that was not in alignment. And they were showing me the difference that when I thought something and it brought a tightening or a constriction or a heaviness or just like a ugh, that was, first of all, not from them and not guidance.
Right.
And second
Right.
of all, just not in alignment with truth for me at that moment, right? Maybe later it might be,
Yes.
but in that moment it was not in alignment and I was to disregard it. And so I had been just practicing that um, and choosing thoughts that felt better in my body. My only goal was to feel better in my now because I was following Eckhart Tolle and I really was into the power of now. And I was like, if I can just get myself present, then I could feel better. Because if I'm actually present in my now, 90% of the time, I know I'm okay, right? And that just felt better. So it just started with changing thoughts to thoughts that felt better, just to feel better, right? Just to be able to be in the body and not want to kill myself. And so
That's a good start.
that was a good start, right? So I was doing that and then it showed me how by choosing certain thoughts was equal to choosing certain frequencies. And then by choosing certain frequencies, I was opening myself up to certain realities that were in alignment with that frequency. And they were showing me how some of the past things I did, although I was a victim of things, I'm not talking about my childhood, I'm talking past childhood, right? There are things that I was a victim, I was a real victim of, like sexual abuse and things. And they showed me in a very loving way. Now, I'm going to say a trigger warning because if you're not at this point in your sexual abuse recovery, what I'm going to say could be triggering. Keep going. Okay. Um, they were showing me how, and again, it wasn't anything I was doing wrong. It was the family that I came from. It was the vibration that I came in with. It was what I had chosen for myself. It's hard for us as humans to conceptualize why would I choose something so awful and heinous? But for our soul's evolution, listen, if we're rebirthing and rebirthing and rebirthing, at some point you're going to get into weird stuff. You're going to get curious about what does it feel like to live a life where I have no control? What does it feel like to go into a handicapped body? What does it feel like, what does it feel like to kill myself? What does it feel like to be aborted? What does it feel like to only have one arm? You know what I mean? We'll get into what does it feel like to live in a mountain and never, you know what I mean? Or be famous. Like we're going to get to have all these experiences if we want them, in whatever lifetime. So in my reality, I chose a lot of weird stuff for real. And my friends like to tell me that I play life on hard mode, and that resonates. It feels validating and it resonates. So what happened was they were teaching me these things and I was working on shifting my frequency and my vibration because they showed me that if I shifted my frequency up, I could create a different, I don't know what reality, but it would be different than the one that I have, right? And that was the only goal, was for it to be different. Even just a little bit more relief was better than what I had. So in every moment, and this is where they talk about persistent, in every single moment, Donald, if I had a thought that was not congruent, they were like, hey, how do you feel when you think that? I'd be like, not good. Oh, well, do you want more of that? Are you aware that what you're thinking is going to call in that reality? Yeah, I know. Do you want more of that? No. Okay. Well, what can you do? I can shift my thought.
Brilliant teachers, eh?
Oh,
Brilliant teachers.
amazing. And they just handheld me like a loving, just a like what I would imagine a really loving being would do. There was never any shame. There's never any pressure. There was never any guilting. It was always just, that's interesting. I wonder I wonder why you're doing that. Like just always bringing my awareness to hey, you're creating right now. Are you creating consciously? So I was doing that, and then things were still going sideways. And my friends had started to notice that I was sober for a while. I was I was really trying, and life was still kicking my pants. And they started to say, I think you're cursed. You got to go talk to somebody because you are cursed, lady. And I was like, thank you. Thank you for saying that because yes, it feels that way. Thank you. And so they hooked me up with this woman. Her name is Michelle Orwick. She is in Orlando. I have to give her a shout out. This woman has forever changed my life. I am indebted to her. I just am so grateful that she is so in touch with her guides that she was able to pull this through for me. Holy cow. Um, so my friend ends up, I don't know if she paid for me, but somehow I end up with Michelle. Michelle is a goddess of a being, okay? She has naturally white hair. And I don't mean gray, I mean like platinum white, glowing, beautiful platinum blonde hair. And pale alabaster skin, voluptuous goddess body. I mean, and she walks in with a presence, right? Like she
Wow.
knows who
Why
she is.
didn't you introduce me to her while I was in Florida?
Well, we're in Gainesville. She's in Orlando.
That's
She's
okay. That's
amazing.
not that far.
She is amazing. I recommend everybody go and check out her social media. She's just a beautiful, wonderful woman. And she did a session with me of theta, which I thought was ridiculous. I was just like, this is way woo for me. This is woo squared, right? This is woo squared. This is so woo. It's woo to the second power. But I was like curious. I wanted a different experience. So I was open to these things and it didn't feel scary. So I was open to it. And then a few weeks passed and then she did another one. And at the end of the second one, she said that her guides had told her that I was meant to do this work and that I didn't know this, but she's a teacher. She teaches theta and she has a magical school, Odyssey Institute in Orlando. And she gifted me my program. She gifted me the whole
Wow.
program. And so I spent about 2.5 to 3 years taking her classes and being like under her guidance. I can't recommend her program enough. She's amazing. And she was right, like, and I didn't know it at the time because I was like, why would you do this? I don't even know what this is. Like, I don't even believe this. And she's like, because my guides are telling me this is going to help you get out of the situation you're in and like help you get some stability and you're meant to do this. And I was just like, all right, sure. I mean, nothing else was presenting itself. So I go through the program and now I'm certified in theta. And then now I have my bachelor's in metaphysics. I'm going for my master's. I'm a spiritual life
Wow. Good
counselor.
for you.
I do another form of hypnosis called Beyond Quantum Healing, which is like the second generation of QHHT by Dolores Cannon. So this
Okay.
is just like the second generation of that work. And I love it. And I'm totally here to do this work. It's changed my life. The life I live today is very different than the one I lived before. I live now, I've done a lot of work. Well, I guess I should also say, okay, so, although I didn't have like that shift until 2017, in 2010, while I was in the midst of psychosis, I got a download. And then in 2012, I got a completion of that download that showed me a very specific program. Basically, okay, so what had happened was I was again complaining to God, yelling at God that things should not be the way that they are. We were living in poverty. We were on food stamps, on, going to the food banks for food. And at that point, I had made the connection that preservatives were causing a lot of inflammation for me. And at the food bank, I asked them for vegetables that they were offering, like sugary things and preserved things that I couldn't have. And I asked for some vegetables, and they told me that I should be ashamed of myself, that I was kicking a gift horse in the mouth, and all of the shame. And so I was on my back porch at home yelling at God, just like, it shouldn't be this way and it could be different and da da da. And then this energy came from out here and hit me so hard in my chest, Donald, that I was in one of those little plastic, like, dinky chairs, uh, and it like hit me so hard that I almost fell out of the chair. Like the legs bent. It hit me so hard. And I saw me learning how, like, going through this process of learning how to, like, grow my own food, forage my own food, find medicine in the woods, learn how to use said medicine, create medicine for other people, build structures on my own, and learning how to live outside and learning how to live nomadically. And then I saw starting a community where people could come and I can walk them through the process of coming out of dis-ease and into
Right.
sovereignty and self-reliance and interdependence, because we're not supposed to be all solo either, you know?
Right.
And so I've been working on it. I had to become the kind of person that could do something like that, which is where all of
Right.
these, like, near-death experiences and stuff going on from. Now, mind you, I just realized my mother took her life the day that the astrology went into the wood snake, which in Chinese astrology is a 9-year period of shedding. So
Interesting.
yeah, so that 9-year period, it was a real shedding for me. And now we're in the fire horse
Yeah.
and things are feeling much better. And I am pretty far into my process. I live in an intentional community with about 10 other members. We, we're learning to grow our own food. And I'm raising some chickens and I'm learning how to forage, and I do live outside. And I love it. I love my life. Love living minimally because that I lived in the gift economy. So I would say 80% of my life is lived in the gift, which means that I trust in my abundance, my inherent worth and my inherent abundance. I have always been provided for and I will always be provided for. And just working on my mindset of whatever is in the middle, whatever is blocking that knowledge. For example, a lot of people, if they can't go to the grocery store, it triggers the program of lack, of shame, of we're not doing well, we're not abundant, and all of those things. But the only reason they feel that way is because they don't know how to grow their own food. They don't know how to forage. Their mindset has been shifted to the only food is what is in the store, right? And all
Yeah.
of these, like, preconceived things that are built into our system that we live in. And I think what I'm realizing now, Donald, is I'm in a process of really dismantling from that system on a very
Right.
intricate level.
You are a way shower, because I think what you are going through now, millions of people are going to be going through in the coming years of radically changing the way we have structured our society and our communities and the way we live. And yeah.
Think,
So awesome.
I
Great for
think
you.
so.
You're setting an example.
Well, and that's it. Like, I feel so in my purpose and on purpose, owning who I am. It's taken me a lot of work to own, because to me, I'm a soft, gushy, gooey, lovey, person. However, because of how people have lovingly reflected who I am back to me, I am realizing that there is a intensity that I bring. And I used to really run away from that intensity. And I'm now experimenting with what happens if I lean into it and believe that it is on purpose and believe that what I'm doing is what I'm supposed to be doing. Not that everybody has to do what I'm doing, but I'm so full of joy and love, and I'm about to go on a sabbatical. I've been living in different communities for the last 5 years, intentional communities, just watching leadership, learning what to do, what not to do. And now because I'm living outside, this means I'm following the weather, right? It's way too hot in Florida in summer to live outside for me
Right,
personally, right?
right.
So I'm going to travel up the coast, going to different intentional communities to just see, first of all, what I can learn from being there, but also experiment with what happens when I believe that, and this is like wild for me to even say, okay? This is my favorite thing. What happens if I choose to believe that I am a gift and that my presence in someone's community, not from an egotistical way, but from a knowing of the way spirit moves me. When I'm able to move my ego out of the way and let spirit move me, there is a beautiful intensity that comes that does things for people. And it's not me. It's really not me. It's only when I move my pretenses out of the way and just listen. Just
Yeah,
listen and do what I'm
yeah,
told.
yeah.
Just do what they're
And
telling me.
and allow yourself to be a channel for the energy, the spirit of God to flow into the world and do his miracles.
Yeah, my prayer is that my intention, my living prayer, right? The way I move through the world is to be the hands and feet of source energy, of love. And to
Yes.
understand that what Gandhi was trying to tell us was don't just talk about it, be about it. Be the example. It's not enough to talk about it. People are craving to see what it looks like in action. We can only live out in this reality the programs that we have activated. A lot of things are activated when we come in. A lot of things get good, bad, or indifferent, right? It's all for us. Or they get activated on Earth side by the situations that we have, the things we're watching, what we're listening to, yada, yada, yada. And by going into the theta brainwave and by reworking these programs and these beliefs, and giving ourselves the opportunity to see how it actually does change the reality. Like, it's not enough to just say, I want to do this, or I'm going to do that, or it's like, what does it look like in your life to just do the best that you can to be that in your own reality, knowing that just the intention, I'm willing to be willing to be willing to do this, you know? will open up amazing pathways for us and allow us to create these realities that we really do want to create, And yeah, it's just like there's so much going on right now that is really for us. It might be scary for some, I'm going to get really esoteric just from my own experience, right? It is very often the people, places, and things that bring up the most vile feelings in myself, such as political figures, for example, right? It's often those people that are the greatest gift. And it's really hard for us to see it that way sometimes. And this is like really being the change, right? Like, really. Are you walking the walk or are you just talking it? Because if you're really about love and light, we're going to see that what these figures and people are doing that are activating this hatred or anger or grief or fear or sadness, that is the gift. That is the gift because, again, this reality, the way it is anchored in is on witnessing. So if we are not seeing our shadow, if we are not witnessing the destruction, then we cannot address it. And it is incredibly painful at times to witness it, but witnessing it we must. Because once it's witnessed, we see it, and then we can do something about it. And so, it's just like, can we challenge ourselves to be that love, even with the one thing that we blame for everything going on right now, like, and now people like me are rising up. I can feel it. I see it in my reality. The communities are rising up. I'm telling you, be not afraid, people, because there is a network around that most people who are living in the system have no idea that we are underground creating a new reality that's going to be there to catch everybody once this whole reality falls. I want that for everyone. I am being my best to do what I can to be the change in creating that. And I just really invite everybody that's listening to search inside themselves, listen to the gentle nudges of spirit when it whispers and says something like, hey, pick up that piece of trash. Hey, smile at that person. Hey, pray for rain. Hey, sing a song, because it might seem insequential to you.
Here we're saying, okay, pray for the snow to stop. It's time for the snow to stop.
Imagine warm, sunny Alberta, Canada, right? Spring.
Yeah, it's coming.
It's coming.
It's just around the corner.
I'm excited for you. I'm excited I want a call from you being like, oh, the sun is on my face and the flowers are blooming.
Okay. Jessalynn, it's been wonderful. I think that maybe your last sentiment there, I think, is a beautiful sentiment to end on and wrap things up. We've been talking for quite a while, and thank you so much for sharing both your tragedy and your triumph. It's an inspiring story, and I'm sure that anybody listening and watching will be motivated and learn a great deal. I've learned from what you've had to say, and I'm inspired by it as well. So God bless you, Jessalynn, on your journey, and may all go well with you.
Thank you. And just if anybody does want to find me, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook under Misfit Sanctuary. That's my business. Misfit Sanctuary. And you can watch me have the journey of creating this thing. I'm also under Jessalynn Ross, which is under my name. So come and find me. Say hi.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. It's been a joy for me to have a chance to meet you in person when I was in Florida, and it's been a joy also to do this interview. Thank you so much. God bless you, Jessalynn.
You too. Thank you so much.
Bye for now.